need to with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Paraguay is one of the world's biggest exporters of beef. But because of its diplomatic recognition of Taiwan, it's unable to export to the world's biggest market, China. Sally Jensen was in Paraguay's capital, Asunción, speaking to members of the livestock industry to find out more.
Cattle ranching is in Isidro Medina's blood. He's the third generation of his family to tend to this small ranch in the Luque region of Paraguay near the capital, Asunción. Beef is big business in Paraguay, but Medina is in the minority among the country's ranchers. All of what he produces here he sells locally, but for him there's little security at such a small scale.
La posibilidad que nos queda a los pequeños productores es vender domésticamente. Y todo el sueño del trabajador es vender afuera, que sería más bueno el ingreso económico y así. Pero son grandes productores.
Paraguay exports around 60% of its beef, making it one of the world's top 10 exporters. And almost all of that is shipped to just 5 markets: Chile, Russia, Israel, Brazil, and Taiwan. This year, Paraguay hopes to increase its exports to Taiwan from 37,000 tons last year to 50,000 tons, a huge increase from 2,000 tons less than 10 years ago. The cows here on Isidro's farm are literally on the other side of the world from Taiwan. This is an area dominated by Paraguay's beef industry, but the surrounding countries, Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, ship their cows to a much bigger market, China. China is a major importer of beef from South America, with Brazil and Argentina accounting for almost 70% of its imports. Yet Paraguay exports comparatively little to China, whose major beef buyers, big state-owned enterprises, stick to the One China policy, which claims that Taiwan is part of China. As Paraguay does not adhere to that notion, they won't buy from here. Paraguay has recognized Taiwan as its own entity for over 6 decades. It's one of only 13 countries to have diplomatic relations with Taiwan and the only one in South America. Paraguay's new president, Santiago Peña, has pledged to maintain these relations despite pressure from his country's agricultural sector, which wants to open lucrative Chinese markets to soybeans and beef.
Y vuelvo a repetir, lo bueno sería si podamos vender a China y seguir con nuestras relaciones diplomáticas con Taiwán. Lo bueno era estar bien con los dos países.
Peña has said that Paraguay, quote, would love more trade with China, but adds that the small country cannot rely on a single market and risk being flooded with Chinese goods.
Having a closer collaboration with Taiwan put us closer on a path to develop an industrial sector that we will have it if we have a relation with China.
The industry's biggest players, the meat packers, say that Taiwan should create more demand for their produce.
Porque hoje Paraguay é país amigo de Taiwan. Então é muito importante que Taiwan corresponda com isso. Dê mais preferência à carne paraguaia.
Paraguay's meat packers want beef to remain the country's economic driving force. But for smaller domestic suppliers like Medina, diversification is essential to make ends meet. He now makes more money selling milk from his dairy cows and participating in horse shows. And as Paraguay looks toward growing its beef export industry to Taiwan, for its smallest ranchers, the dream of selling abroad remains a world away from reality. Scott Huang and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
It's the height of pomelo harvesting season, and agriculture officials are finding new ways to help Taiwan's farmers sell their fruits. They've teamed up with convenience store chains to sell cut and peeled pomelos to customers who don't want to do it themselves. The government predicts Taiwan will produce over 70,000 tons of pomelo this year. Some of that is for export, but that market shrank after China banned the fruit last year. Officials and farmers have been looking for new ways to boost domestic consumption instead. After seeing a spike in domestic travelers during the COVID-19 pandemic, tourism in southern Taiwan has expected a downturn. Now some destinations are working to bring back the number of visitors to pre-pandemic levels. Jeremy Olivier has more.
The southern beach resort of Kanding. It's long been one of Taiwan's most popular attractions for international visitors. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, when most global travel shut down, it became one of the places to go for Taiwanese tourists. But recently, things have looked a bit grim for the area's businesses. They say now that overseas travel has resumed, customers have dropped off sharply.
原本是100%，最起码少就是一半了。解放了都要国外去旅游了。我嘛就想要住到暑假袂当走啊。
Overall, Kanding's tourist market has fared well since the pandemic. Between January and June this year, visit numbers reached 1.3 million, compared with a little more than 1 million during the same period in 2022. But things were less rosy for the peak travel month of July. Last month, Kanding reported 300,000 visits, a nearly 10% drop from July 2022. Local officials say the economy and the cost of living are playing big roles in people's travel plans.
受到通膨的因素的影响，民众减少出游的意愿，人潮比疫情前有下降的趋势。为此，本府今年更加的积极参加旅展及办理国外的推介会。
It's a story that's playing out in several places in Taiwan's south. In Kaohsiung, officials are hoping to pull in more tourists with events like this kite festival on its nearby Qijin Island.
吸引了许多民众、网红以及部落客前来朝圣，再加上消暑首选的气垫水乐园，吸引了满满人潮，也因此让旗津海产街座无虚席，业绩成长了大约有3到5成。
Despite the dwindling tourist numbers, local governments are hoping that eye-catching events, beautiful beaches, and some of the country's freshest seafood will be enough to give tourism in Taiwan's south a post-pandemic shot in the arm. Joseph Wu and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
Do you have what it takes to work on a wind turbine miles out at sea? Not many people do, but it's a job that's an increasing demand in Taiwan. Harrell Hughes takes a look at the requirements for this role in the country's young green energy industry.
Strapping on 10 kilos of safety equipment every day is not the standard routine for most people. But for some, it's just another day at work. These are the people who are constructing Taiwan's offshore wind farms. What they do is not for the faint of heart.
它当然要可以不怕高不怕水，要可以耐得住热。你想象一下，如果你今天的工作是负责在超大安装船上面去操作那个吊车，你要负责在飘来飘去的海上。
Taiwan is working to become more reliant on green energy, and with that comes the need for more skilled workers in the industry. This is one of 4 training centers in Taiwan. The people here are being taught how to work at high altitudes, endure water and heat, and spend weeks out at sea. The high-risk job requires rigorous training. Swimming, safety, and how to use their equipment are some of the most important lessons.
我们有很多那种高处作业，那有可能也要出海去作业。那当然就是这些作业呢，就是会伴随着不同的风险。
But while only a handful of people might seem up to the task, their role is within a growing industry. The Global Wind Organization estimates 22,000 professionals will be needed to meet the demand of wind farms around Taiwan by 2050. The work may be grueling, but the pay is worth it.
做28天休28天的风电技师的话，你现在的薪资每个月大概会有7万、8万、9万，不一定。
As Taiwan continues working toward its goal of achieving net zero emissions, the shift to and reliance on green energy is only set to grow. And that means now the country will also have to find the right people who are able to handle this type of work to make it a reality. Devin Tsai and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave with images of Mount Fuji in Japan. I'm Sandy Chi. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from here in Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.